30 legendary men you've never heard of. 1. Hugh Glass, the trapper who cheated death in 1823. Along the banks of the Missouri River, Hugh Glass was mauled nearly to death by a grizzly bear, left behind by his companions. He crawled and dragged himself for more than 200 miles through wilderness and hostile territory until he reached safety. Lesson: when everything seems lost, human will can work miracles. 2. Joshua Norton, Emperor of San Francisco. In the ruined businessman Joshua Norton declared himself Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico. At first, the city laughed, then they listened. His eccentric decrees and peaceful presence became a beloved part of San Francisco life. Lesson: who you are depends less on what you own and more on what you stand for. 3. Desmond Doss, the unarmed hero during World War II. Medic Desmond Doss refused to carry a weapon. Bow at Okinawa, under heavy fire, he lowered 75 wounded men down a cliff one by one while praying for each. Lesson: courage is not found in weapons, but in the human heart. 4. Eugene Bullard, the first black fighter pilot denied the chance to fly in America because of his race. Eugene Bullard moved to France, becoming a World War I combat pilot, and later fighting the Nazis. He ended his life quietly as an elevator operator in New York. His heroism largely forgotten. Lesson: your worth is measured by your actions, not your title. 5. Ernest Shackleton, Lord of the Ice in 1914. Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, was trapped in Antarctic ice. After months of bitter cold, he led a daring rescue across the most hostile seas on Earth and brought every man home alive. Lesson: true leadership shows itself in a crisis. 6. Hiro Onoda, the soldier who didn't know the war was over. For 29 years after World War II ended, Hiro Onoda remained in the Philippine jungle, still following orders. He surrendered only when his former commander personally released him from duty. Lesson: loyalty is noble, but knowing when to move on is wisdom. 7. Witold Pilecki, the volunteer prisoner of Auschwitz. Polish officer Witold Pilecki willingly entered Auschwitz to organize resistance and send reports to the Allies. He survived years in the camp before escaping to continue fighting. Lesson: the greatest acts of courage are often unseen. 8. Morris Wilson, alone on Everest in 1934. With little climbing experience, Morris Wilson attempted to solo climb the world's highest mountain. He failed, but his determination became a symbol of relentless ambition. Lesson: sometimes the struggle for a dream matters more than the dream itself. 9. Philo Farnsworth, father of television. As a teenager, Farnsworth invented the basis of modern television, only to spend decades fighting for recognition and rights to his creation. Lesson: pioneers often arrive before the world is ready for them. 10. Jan Balsrad, Norway's frostbitten escape while fleeing Nazi pursuers. Balsrad endured extreme frostbite, amputating his own toes to survive weeks in the Arctic wilderness. Lesson: survival sometimes means sacrificing part of yourself to save the whole. 11. Douglas Mawson. The Last Step on the Ice in 1912. Stranded in Antarctica after his companions died, Mawson trekked for weeks across the ice, frostbitten and starving, his skin peeling from the cold, until he reached base. Lesson: survival belongs to those who refuse to give up. 12. Roy Benavides. 6 Hours in Hell in Vietnam. Green Beret. Roy Benavides rescued his surrounded team, fighting for 6 hours while severely wounded. 3 times medics thought he was dead. 3 times he got back up. Lesson: endurance often comes wrapped in pain. 13. Alexander Selkirk. The real Robinson Crusoe, left alone on a deserted island after a quarrel. Selkirk survived for years by taming wild animals and building his own shelter system. Lesson: isolation can be prison or freedom. 14. Simoheave. The White Death. This Finnish sniper stopped over 500 enemies during the Winter War. His allies and foes alike feared the silent, snowy ghost. Lesson: sometimes success comes from being invisible. 15. Alvin York. From Farm to Heroics. A humble Tennessee farmer captured dozens of enemy soldiers in one World War I battle, earning the nation's highest honors. Lesson: great impact can come from the most unlikely origins. 16. Frank Abagnale. The Master Conman. By age 18, Abagnale posed as a pilot, doctor, and lawyer, swindling millions before becoming an FBI fraud expert. Lesson: talent can choose its direction for good or for harm. 17. Jim Corbett. The hunter who saved villages. Once famed for killing man-eating tigers in India, Corbett later dedicated his life to protecting wildlife. Lesson: true courage preserves life, not just takes it. 18. Tenzing Norgay. In the shadow of the summit, alongside Sir Edmund Hillary, Norgay was one of the first to summit Everest, but history often placed him in the background because he wasn't T. Weston. Lesson: sharing glory can be greater than holding it alone. 19. John Fairfax. The man who rode the oceans. As a boy, he dreamed of piracy. As a man, he rode solo across the Atlantic and, later, the Pacific, proving his own version of adventure. Lesson: the impossible is only impossible until done. 20. Aaron Ralston. Trapped in the canyon, pinned by a boulder for 6 days. Ralston freed himself by amputating his own arm, then hiked to safety. Lesson: sometimes life demands extreme decisions. 21. Richard Francis Burton. The man of many tongues. Explorer, soldier, and writer, Burton mastered 29 languages, often traveling in disguise to reach forbidden places. Lesson: curiosity is the greatest passport. 22. Tommy Prince. The silent warrior. This Canadian Indigenous soldier used stealth and sniper skills to dismantle entire enemy units during World War II. Lesson: skill and discipline together are unstoppable. 23. Harold Russell. Victory without hands. After losing both hands in World War II, Russell won an Oscar and inspired thousands with his resilience. Lesson: limits often exist only in the mind. 24. Stanislav Petrov. The man who saved the world in 1983. A Soviet missile system falsely detected a U.S. strike. Petrov chose not to pass on the alarm, preventing nuclear war. Lesson: sometimes the fate of the world rests on one decision. 25. William Kamkwamba, the boy who harnessed the wind. A teenager in Malawi built a wind turbine from scrap parts to bring electricity to his village. Lesson: lack of resources is not the same as lack of ability. 26. John Chapman, the angel on the front line in Afghanistan. Severely wounded Air Force Sergeant John Chapman kept fighting to protect his team until his last breath. Lesson: true heroism is selfless. 27. Chayun Sugihara, the Japanese Schindler, defying his government in World War II. Sugihara issued thousands of visas to save Jewish refugees. Lesson: moral courage often costs more than physical courage. 28. Anthony Fokker, the boy who changed the sky as a young man. Fokker designed legendary aircraft that shaped the future of aviation. Lesson: age is no barrier to greatness. 29. Jim Lovell, commander of Apollo 13 when disaster struck in space. Lovell's calm leadership and skill brought his crew home safely. Lesson: in crisis, composure is strength. 30. Frank Worsley, the captain who always brought them home. Shackleton, S-Master Navigator, guided small boats over thousands of miles of dangerous seas to rescue every man stranded on the ice. Lesson: a leader's worth is proven at journey's end.